The world is trembling tonight. What began as faint whispers on Twitter has erupted into a full-blown nightmare that no one could have imagined. Leaked messages, cold, deliberate, impossible to unsee, are now flooding every corner of the internet. These are not random rumors. These are screenshots that allegedly expose legendary rapper T.I. as the mastermind behind a plot so twisted it feels like fiction, the brutal setup of his very own son, King Harris, inside a jail cell. Imagine that. A father, not shielding his child, but calculating his pain, one text message at a time. The betrayal is staggering. It is the kind of darkness that keeps you awake at night. Instagram Reels and TikTok stitches are replaying the words that have burned themselves into the public's memory. Make sure King learns his lesson inside. Let them rough him up. These are not the words of a worried parent. They drip with icy precision, the language of a man allegedly pulling the strings of violence against his own blood. Millions are glued to their screens, their hearts pounding, as each new screenshot surfaces. Fans are screaming in disbelief. Comment sections are melting with fury. Twitter is a battlefield where one question echoes louder than all others: how could a father do this? Then came the video that broke America's heart. Grainy footage, smuggled out of the jail, showing King Harris with blood on his face, screaming words that have already become part of this scandal's legend: "My own father did this to me." Viewers say you can feel the despair through the screen. The sound of King's cries has ignited a wildfire of outrage. Overnight, #JusticeForKing is trending worldwide. Protesters have gathered outside T.I.'s mansion, their signs slicing through the Atlanta night: "Father or betrayer?" And as if the horror had not peaked, the internet received an even darker blow. An audio leak, chilling in its calmness, allegedly captures T.I.'s own voice stating, "If he survives this, he will respect me. If not, that is on him." Commentators call it the coldest sentence ever spoken by a celebrity father. News anchors can barely finish their segments without shaking their heads. One popular podcast titled its emergency episode "From Icon to Monster: The T.I. Downfall." Inside the family, the devastation is unbearable. King's mother, Tiny, shattered beyond words, collapsed in front of cameras. Her scream, "He is not a father, he is a monster," now loops endlessly across social feeds. Every tear she sheds feels like a dagger to the public's conscience. Viewers describe it as watching a soul break in real time. Friends of the family are being dragged into late-night interviews. Former associates are digging up old texts and suspicious incidents. The more people talk, the more the puzzle pieces snap into place, painting a portrait of a man who may have been planning this lesson for months. This is no longer a simple family dispute. It has transformed into a national reckoning. Social media is dissecting every angle. Was this about discipline gone mad, or a father's hidden jealousy of his son's rising fame? Legal experts debate if these leaks could lead to charges. Celebrities who once hailed T.I. as a pioneer of hip-hop now distance themselves with carefully worded posts. The betrayal is so deep, the heartbreak so raw, that even veteran journalists admit they have never covered anything like it. What started as a few unbelievable screenshots has detonated into the most shocking scandal in hip-hop history. The man once celebrated as a protective family figure on reality TV is now portrayed as the architect of his own son's suffering. And as America watches the Harris family unravel in real time, one haunting question refuses to fade: is this discipline, or pure betrayal? Hashtags like #JusticeForKing and #CancelTI did not just trend, they detonated across every platform, shooting straight to the top of global feeds in a matter of minutes. TikTok lives, Instagram Reels, and Twitter Spaces all pulsed with one question: what kind of father would do this? But then came the real bombshell, the kind of twist that makes even hardened reporters fall silent. Leaked videos, smuggled straight from inside the jail, began to circulate. The footage was brutal. King Harris lay sprawled on the cold concrete floor, his face swollen and bruised, his shirt shredded and soaked in blood. The echoes of guards shouting in the background only deepened the nightmare. And then, one single line tore through the chaos, a cry so raw that the entire internet froze: "My own father did this to me." That clip alone turned social media into a war zone. Millions reposted it, millions condemned it, and millions demanded immediate answers. The heartbreak struck even harder when Tiny, King's mother, arrived outside the hospital. Cameras flashed like lightning as she collapsed into sobs, screaming through rivers of tears, "He is not a father. He is a monster." Her voice cracked with every word, slicing through the night like a siren. Viewers felt the pain in their bones. This was no ordinary grief. This was a mother declaring open war against the man who had once stood beside her as a partner and protector. For years, fans had followed T.I. and Tiny's rocky love story, breakups, reconciliations, public feuds, but this was a wound beyond repair. Tiny's next words were as final as a courtroom gavel. She announced, before flashing cameras, that her marriage was over. No more compromise. No more silence. She would not stand beside a man accused of betraying their child in such a monstrous way. Just when the world thought the scandal could not possibly get darker, an anonymous whistleblower, allegedly from T.I.'s own inner circle, stepped out of the shadows with an accusation so shocking it rewrote the entire story. According to this insider, T.I. was not punishing King out of parental discipline at all. The claim? King had been used as a pawn, a headline-grabbing distraction from something far more sinister. Federal investigators, the whistleblower alleged, had been circling T.I. over a massive drug trafficking case. By manufacturing a family catastrophe, he aimed to divert media heat from the walls closing in on him. The internet lost its mind. Was this scandal not just cruel, but calculated? A cold diversion designed to protect a hidden empire? And then the final dagger struck. A leaked audio recording, the piece of evidence that made even hardened bloggers stop mid-sentence. A voice, believed to be T.I.'s, whispered with terrifying calm, "If he survives this, he will respect me. If not, that is on him." The words landed like ice water. What kind of father measures his child's survival like a business risk? Comment sections overflowed with disbelief and fury. Even veteran hip-hop journalists admitted they had never encountered anything this cold-blooded. The fallout was immediate. Protesters stormed the gates of T.I.'s mansion, their chants shaking the Atlanta night. Signs blazed with accusations, "Father or betrayer," and "Justice for King." Helicopters circled overhead. News vans turned the quiet street into a media war zone. Meanwhile, inside a hospital room lit by sterile fluorescent lights, King Harris fought for his life. Every medical update, stable, critical, stable again, rippled across the globe in real time, holding millions in collective suspense. For Tiny, the nightmare only deepened. Reporters caught her collapsing outside the hospital, her sobs piercing every microphone. "If my son dies, T.I. is the killer." Those 7 words ricocheted across headlines, from morning talk shows to late-night breaking news alerts. They were more than grief, they were an indictment. And still, even as evidence mounted, screenshots, videos, audio recordings, T.I. went live with a statement, dismissing everything as fabrication and fake news. He insisted the messages were doctored, the recordings manipulated, the videos misleading. But the damage was irreversible. His credibility crumbled like sand in a storm. Sponsors pulled away. Longtime fans unfollowed in rage. What had once been a celebrated family empire now stood as a monument to betrayal. This is not just a celebrity scandal. This is a modern tragedy unfolding in real time, a son bleeding in a hospital bed, a mother waging war for justice, and a father accused of orchestrating it all. The world has seen drama. The world has seen family feuds. But nothing, has ever hit this dark, this deep, or this personal. And the world could not look away. Cameras flashed. Hashtags roared. Protesters chanted through the night. In that charged moment, one truth became undeniable: this story had left the realm of family drama and crossed into global outrage. The betrayal was too deep. The evidence too damning. The emotions too raw. And in the center of it all lay King Harris, a young man suspended between life and death, his own words echoing through millions of minds: "My own father did this to me." The stage was set for an explosive showdown, one destined to rip open hidden secrets, shatter legacies, and leave wounds that would never heal. Yet the storm had only begun. If the leaked screenshots and viral videos were enough to shake America, what came next turned the scandal into a full-blown nightmare. As King fought for his life in a hospital room buzzing with machines, chaos outside spread like wildfire. Just hours after Tiny's tearful breakdown, another wave of leaks detonated across the internet. This time, it was not just isolated texts. Entire chains of conversations surfaced, long back-and-forth exchanges between T.I. and individuals insiders claimed were prison officials. The words were cold enough to freeze blood. In one alleged message, T.I. wrote, "Place him in the tougher block. Do not protect him. He needs to break." That single instruction set the internet on fire. The implication was undeniable. T.I. had not simply abandoned his son to fate, he had allegedly engineered the danger, ensuring King would land in the most violent, unforgiving section of the jail. Soon, a new video, grainy but unmistakable, rocketed across every platform. It showed King being dragged across a concrete floor, surrounded by hostile inmates. Over the chaos, his voice cracked in desperation, "Dad, why are you doing this to me?" Within hours, the clip shattered records, hitting over 50 million views. Comment sections filled with disbelief. Journalists described it as biblical betrayal, a father sacrificing his own blood for power, reputation, and control. Meanwhile, Tiny's fury became unstoppable. In a late-night Instagram live, tears streaking down her cheeks, she declared, "This man is no husband, no father, no protector. He is the reason my baby is fighting for his life, and I will never forgive him." Her raw honesty ripped across the internet like a lightning strike. Fans flooded her feed with support, heartbreak, and righteous rage. A-list celebrities joined in, denouncing T.I. and pledging solidarity with Tiny and King. But the darkness only deepened when an Atlanta journalist dropped an investigative bombshell. According to his sources, federal authorities were quietly preparing a massive indictment against T.I., a case tied to drug trafficking and money laundering. The journalist's theory was chilling. To shield himself from federal heat, T.I. allegedly sacrificed his son's safety to create a scandal so massive it would draw every spotlight away from his own legal troubles. If that revelation was not horrifying enough, another longer, more damning audio clip emerged. In it, a voice unmistakably matching T.I.'s could be heard saying with unnerving calm, "The boy thinks he is grown. Let him see what grown men do to each other. Maybe he will come out smarter, or maybe he will not come out at all." The casual cruelty of those words froze even the most seasoned reporters. It no longer sounded like discipline. It sounded like entertainment and suffering. The backlash was instant and merciless. Outside the hospital, hundreds gathered with candles and signs, their chants shaking the city, "Justice for King! Justice for King!" Cars honked in support. Influential artists and activists amplified the footage, ensuring the outrage reached every corner of the globe. Inside the hospital, however, the tragedy only grew heavier. Whispered updates from staff painted a grim picture. King's condition was worsening. Anonymous insiders claimed he had slipped into a coma after the brutal assault. Every passing hour tightened the knot of fear around millions of hearts. The world waited, breath held, as a once-celebrated hip-hop dynasty collapsed in real time. T.I. continued to deny everything, dismissing leaks as fabrications, but each denial rang more hollow than the last. With every screenshot, every audio file, every trembling live stream from Tiny, the story sank deeper into darkness. What began as whispers had exploded into an unforgettable cautionary tale, a betrayal so staggering it might change the way we think about fame, family, and power forever. The idea that a young man's life hung by a single thread while his own father stood accused of orchestrating that suffering sent shock waves across the globe. Cameras outside the hospital caught a scene no one will forget: Tiny, trembling and tear-streaked, clutching a faded photo of little King in his first school uniform. Her voice broke like glass as she cried, "I promised to protect him. And the one person who was supposed to protect him with me is the one who destroyed him." That single clip shattered millions of hearts. It rocketed across Instagram and TikTok, fueling a new inferno of outrage. But the nightmare was far from over. Hours later, another smoking gun exploded online, alleged deleted messages recovered by hackers. In them, T.I. supposedly told his PR team, "Spin this story. Make it look like he disrespected me. The world will side with me if we paint him as reckless." This revelation did not just portray him as a bad father. It painted him as a master manipulator, someone playing chess with his own family's pain. The internet erupted. Memes, remixes, and searing edits flooded every platform. King's agonized cry, "My own father did this to me," became the grim soundtrack to thousands of viral videos. Every corner of social media buzzed with fury, debate, and heartbreak. Then came a moment so intimate and devastating it felt like the world stopped. From his hospital bed, King allegedly scribbled a note by hand, letters shaky, smudged with tears. The message was painfully simple: "Mom, you are all I have left. Please do not let him win." Screenshots of that note raced across the globe, becoming a universal symbol of resilience and heartbreak. It was no longer just a celebrity scandal. It had become a cultural earthquake, a reckoning about parenthood, betrayal, fame, and power. But the descent into darkness continued. Insiders leaked another alleged message thread in which T.I. bragged to industry friends, "Sometimes you got to show your kid who the real king is." That single sentence collapsed the myth of a loving, guiding father. Instead, it exposed a man consumed by ego and dominance, eager to prove supremacy over his own bloodline. Meanwhile, inside the jail, horror escalated. Reports described a planned ambush in the showers. Witnesses claimed guards stood by, smirking, as fists and boots rained down on the 19-year-old. One inmate allegedly shouted, "Your daddy paid for this," before knocking King unconscious. Those words echoed like a curse, searing the internet with fury. King was not just another inmate, he was allegedly a target paid for by his own father's deal. Outside, T.I. scrambled to regain control. He appeared in interviews, dark glasses hiding his eyes, insisting he only wanted to teach King discipline. But no one was buying it. Too many leaks. Too much evidence. Too much visible pain. Fans who once idolized him now posted videos burning his albums and deleting his songs from playlists. Tiny's agony reached a breaking point. During an Instagram live, tears streaming, she screamed into her phone, "How could you do this to our son? He is not your enemy, he is your child." Her anguish sparked a tidal wave of solidarity. Millions flooded her comments demanding justice, demanding answers, demanding that T.I. be held accountable for what many now call a father-led execution in disguise. And just when it seemed the outrage had peaked, another hidden video from inside the jail surfaced. Grainy, but unmistakable, it showed King lying limp on the cold concrete floor, his faint voice asking the question that broke hearts worldwide: why would my dad do this to me? Within hours, it surpassed 50 million views. The caption read simply, "A son abandoned. A father exposed." The betrayal felt ancient in scale, like a modern Cain-Abel tragedy, except the wound came not from a brother but from a father. A father who chose pride over love, control over compassion, and image over blood. And as King's cries from behind bars echoed across the world, one chilling truth settled in: the scars of betrayal do not fade, they multiply, they haunt, and they destroy everything they touch. This was no longer a scandal. It was the downfall of a dynasty. And after everything, the leaked messages, the brutal footage, the mounting outrage, one question burned through every conversation: how do you ever forgive a father who sells his own son to pain? How do you ever look at T.I. the same way again? The man who once preached loyalty and built an empire on family values now stood exposed as the very monster who tore his family apart. King Harris is not just another name in a headline. He is a broken young man crying out for the love and protection that should have come from the one man who betrayed him most. Tonight, the world faces a reality more tragic than any song, more shocking than any scripted drama. This was not an enemy's plot, not a stranger's attack. It was a father's own hand that delivered his son to suffering. Fans demand justice. Streets are boiling with rage. And everywhere, people ask the same question: if blood cannot protect you, who can? If your own father can sell you out, what hope is left? This is bigger than hip-hop. Bigger than a family feud. This is the story of betrayal so deep it shakes the very meaning of trust itself. And as King Harris continues to fight for life and sanity behind cold prison walls, the world is watching, waiting, demanding answers. Will T.I. ever be held accountable? Or will this tragedy be buried under fame and power? Because one thing is now unmistakable: this was never about discipline. This was never about family. This is about survival. And in this brutal battle between father and son, only one will walk away whole.